Welcome to Swirl AI Search, the podcast that dives deep into the world of enterprise AI search. Discover how to unlock the value hidden within your internal data and accelerate your journey to actionable insights. Let's cut through the noise and find out how you can get the most out of your internal information. As befitting a podcast about AI, this episode was created with the help of Notebook LM. Please enjoy the Swirl AI Search podcast.
Keeping your business agile.
Mm,
It's more crucial than ever these days, isn't it?
it really is.
I mean, markets can shift so quickly.
No, in a flash.
And the companies that can react fast,
Yeah.
the ones with real business agility, they're the ones that are going to pull ahead.
Yeah, they're the ones that thrive. Absolutely.
But what's at the heart of that agility? What makes it all work?
I'd say it boils down to making those quick, smart decisions. And of course, those decisions have to be based on solid data, right?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to be diving into today, this whole idea of agility in the age of, well, a ton of data.
That's right. And think about the pressure that leaders are under. You see an opportunity, maybe a challenge pops up, you need to make a move, and you got to do it fast.
Right.
But for so many, the information that you need, the information that would let you make a smart decision quickly, well, it's just scattered everywhere.
It really is. And, it's funny. Just think about your own day-to-day routine. You're trying to figure out why a competitor's new campaign is suddenly working.
Right.
Where do you even begin to look? You're clicking around in Salesforce. You're scrolling through endless emails. You're checking on projects in Asana.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you're even trying to remember something specific from a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting transcript, digging through those.
Yeah,
It's a real hunt, isn't it?
it is. It is.
And, the thing is, every minute that you spend searching for this information, it's a minute you're not actually acting.
You're not making progress. No, that's exactly right. And it's not just the time, is it? It's the sheer volume of data that companies are dealing with these days. I mean, it's immense. We're talking about everything from those structured sales figures to unstructured feedback, buried in customer chat logs.
Right.
And there's the really important stuff, the insights that are hidden away in project notes and all of that. It's often locked away in all these different systems, just finding the right pieces, the stuff that's actually relevant. It can feel like a whole day's work.
It's exhausting. Forget actually having the time and mental energy to analyze it
Right.
and then make a decision based on it.
Absolutely.
So let's really unpack that feeling of exhaustion for a second.
Okay.
Imagine you're trying to figure out why your team's performance has dipped.
Uh-huh.
You're going back and forth between spreadsheets,
Mhm.
trying to connect the dots between marketing campaigns and sales figures.
Yeah.
Maybe you're even piecing together what customers are feeling from support tickets. It's more than just those wasted hours clicking around.
Right.
It's that mental juggling act,
Mhm.
trying to hold all these different pieces of information in your head at the same time.
Yeah.
And, I was reading something really interesting. There's an expert who has a doctorate in psychology, and
Mm-hmm.
they were pointing out that this kind of cognitive overload, it's not just annoying, it's not just frustrating, it actually makes us worse at making decisions.
Oh, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I mean, when your brain is just trying to find and organize all this information, it doesn't have the space, the bandwidth to actually analyze it, to see the big picture, to make those strategic connections. So the problem isn't just the time it takes to search, it's that the decisions you make under all that strain, they're just not going to be as good.
Exactly. So we're seeing this clash, right?
Mhm.
This need for speed, this need for agility in business today, butting up against the reality of all this messy, siloed data.
Yeah,
And the old ways of searching just aren't cutting it anymore.
they aren't.
So let's talk about how things are evolving. We're
Yeah.
moving beyond this basic idea of search as just a way to find a file.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big change?
The big change is the emergence of what we're calling AI search. And it's not just a small step forward, it's a whole different way of thinking about how we access and use information.
Got it.
Traditional search, it relied so much on keywords, right? Just trying to locate documents.
Right.
But AI search, especially these more advanced platforms, they go much deeper. They
Okay.
use things like natural language processing or NLP, so they can actually understand what you're asking, what you're really looking for.
Uh-huh.
And they use machine learning to find patterns in your data, to understand how different pieces of information connect. It's about understanding the context and then actually giving you insights.
So how do these AI search platforms actually manage to understand all this context? Can you give me an example, like The specific platform.
Sure, let's take Swirl as an example. What makes it stand out? What makes it different from the old way of searching? One of the biggest things is that it integrates directly with all your other systems.
Okay.
I mean, all of them, email, your CRM, so things like Salesforce, those collaboration hubs, Teams, Slack, all of that, places you store files like SharePoint, and even your internal databases, all connected.
So it creates this kind of one-stop shop for all your information needs.
Exactly. You're not jumping between a dozen different tabs just to find one conversation or one document.
And it's not just about organized data, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much valuable information that's not in neat rows and columns.
That's right.
Think about all the important decisions that get made during those Zoom meetings, or the ideas that pop up in Slack channels,
Yeah.
or those detailed project updates, all those details. And that stuff, it's not always easy to search.
It's not. But these modern AI search tools, they can handle this unstructured data just as easily as they can handle a database. They can read and understand it.
So it's more than just finding the information. The AI is actually starting to make sense of it for you. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. It's looking at what you search for, it's looking at the content it finds, and it's analyzing everything. It doesn't just match keywords, it actually assigns a score to each result.
Oh, interesting.
A confidence score, like how relevant is this information? How reliable is it? It considers things like where the information came from, how recently it was updated, whether it matches up with other verified data.
It's almost like it's double-checking itself.
In a way, yeah. And then on top of that, some platforms can even summarize long documents or conversations for you, or even suggest what you should do next based on what it's learned from your data. It's not just giving you data, it's giving you intelligence.
You also mentioned something called zero ETL search. Can you explain what that means and why it's important?
Sure. ETL stands for extract, transform, load. It's how people used to get data ready for analysis. They would copy it from wherever it was stored, clean it up, and put it all in one place.
Right.
Zero ETL means you skip all of that. The AI can just work with the data where it already is. It's a game changer, both for efficiency and security.
So no more moving data around, no more risk of losing it or having it fall into the wrong hands.
Exactly. And you're not spending money and time on all that migration and transformation. It keeps things simple.
It really does. So instead of your team spending hours pulling reports and trying to piece together the story, the AI can just highlight the key takeaways directly.
Right.
That's got to be a huge boost for productivity.
It is. I mean, imagine you're a project manager. You're trying to figure out why a task is behind schedule.
Right.
Before, you might have had to go through tons of emails, look at different project plans, try to figure out what happened based on tiny updates.
Right.
With AI search, you could just ask, why is task X delayed? And the platform could look at all the recent communication, the task dependencies, the project notes, and give you a clear answer, maybe even suggest some reasons why it happened.
So it's not just about finding information, it's about understanding the why behind it.
Exactly.
Now, you talked about context-aware AI search that can anticipate your needs. That sounds really powerful. What does that mean in practice?
Right. Well, the idea is that the AI isn't just sitting there waiting for you to ask a question. It's trying to figure out what you're trying to do, what information would be most helpful to you.
Okay.
It's like it's whispering possibilities you haven't even thought of yet.
Can you give me a concrete example of how this would actually work?
Remember when we talked about searching for Q4 sales trends? A regular search might just give you a list of reports,
Right.
but an AI, a really smart one, like Swirl, might suggest other questions you could ask, like, which product categories had the biggest sales increase?
Oh.
Or how does our customer acquisition cost this quarter compared to last quarter? It's like having a research partner who's really in tune with what you're trying to achieve.
It's guiding you.
Yes, exactly. And it also helps filter out the noise, all the irrelevant stuff. Because it understands what you're looking for, it can prioritize the best data sources and ignore the rest. It saves you from having to sift through a mountain of useless results.
And the confidence scoring you mentioned, that plays a big role here too, right?
Absolutely. Make sure you're looking at the most reliable data, the stuff you can really trust to make decisions.
You mentioned a sales director using this kind of AI earlier. Could you walk me through that scenario again and really highlight how this context awareness makes a difference?
Sure. Imagine a sales director using Swirl to get a good view of their pipeline. Instead of manually going through hundreds of open deals, they could ask, show me any deals over $100,000 that are at risk. Now, a normal search might just show a list of all deals above that amount.
Right.
But the AI can do so much more. It can look at the history of similar deals, see what their win rates were. It can look at the communication patterns with those specific clients, even flag any negative things that were said internally, like mentions of competitors.
Wow.
And then, based on all of that, it can highlight which of those big deals are showing the strongest signs of going south.
It's like having a crystal ball, but for your sales.
In a way, yeah. And it can even suggest what the sales director or their team should do to try and save those deals. So it's not just identifying a problem, it's pointing towards a solution.
It's actionable.
Exactly. So you can see how AI search streamlines the whole process, from finding information to figuring out what it means.
Oh.
What are the tangible benefits that businesses actually see when they start using this technology?
That's the real question, isn't it? What's the payoff?
Well, the benefits are real, and they directly affect a company's success. The most immediate benefit is speed. Decisions get made faster. Because people aren't spending all that time searching and analyzing manually, they get the insights they need much more quickly.
So businesses can react to changes in the market or internal challenges much faster.
Exactly. And when you think about it, quicker access to information also means a big boost in productivity, right?
Right.
When your teams aren't spending hours hunting for information, they have more time and energy to focus on what they're supposed to be doing, whether that's talking to customers, developing new products, or working on strategic initiatives.
It frees them up to actually do their jobs.
Exactly. And that translates into real results, real improvements to the bottom line.
You also talked about data confidence. Why is that so important these days?
Because there's so much data out there.
Yeah.
And it's easy to make bad decisions if you're using information that's wrong or outdated or just unreliable. So these AI platforms, the ones that rank results based on how reliable they are, they make sure you're working with the best possible information. That leads to better decisions across the whole organization.
And that zero ETL approach, where you're not copying data all over the place, that must also help with security and compliance.
Absolutely. It reduces the risk of data breaches, and it makes it easier to comply with all those data privacy regulations.
It's a win-win, really.
It is, and it all comes back to this idea of empowering employees. AI search, when it's integrated into how people work every day, it frees them up from that constant search for information.
So they can focus on making the right decisions and making them quickly.
Exactly. And in today's world where everything moves so fast and the amount of data is just exploding, that ability to make fast, informed decisions, it's not just a nice thing to have, it's essential.
So looking ahead, what do you see happening with AI search? What's its role in this whole idea of business agility?
Well, the trends we're seeing, these fast-changing markets, the massive amounts of data, they're not going away. They're going to become even more intense. And AI search is going to be crucial in that environment. It's going to go from being a helpful tool to being absolutely essential for any company that wants to succeed.
It's almost like it's becoming part of the company's DNA.
In a way, yeah. It's not just about searching anymore. It's about being agile, about being able to make decisions quickly and confidently. Platforms like Swirl, they're leading the way because they're not just about finding information, they're about analyzing it and giving you recommendations.
So we're moving from searching to deciding.
Yeah.
And that shift is being driven by AI.
Exactly. It's about changing how organizations use their data. It's about being proactive, not reactive, and it's all about achieving better results faster.
This has been a really fascinating look at the world of AI search and how important it is for businesses to be agile in today's world.
It has been.
It's clear that being able to quickly find and understand huge amounts of data is absolutely essential if you want to stay competitive.
And it's important to remember those hidden costs. The time people waste searching for information, the mental strain it puts on them, that has a real impact on a company's ability to make good decisions and move quickly.
It does. So for those of you listening, I want you to think about your own organization. How much time are your team spending just trying to find the information they need? And how much of an advantage would you gain if they had instant AI-powered access to those crucial insights? Think about how embracing AI search could completely change how your organization makes decisions and how agile it is in this constantly changing world. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.